Evan ready.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Nevada Irrigation District Board of Directors, October 8th, 2025. If you'll all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so Ricky Heck will be joining us virtually this morning, and so Dustin will lead us through the procedure of how to do that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. As I understand it, Director Heck has an emergency circumstance that requires her attendance to be online. To allow that to happen, we need a motion from the board basically justifying the emergency circumstance and then approving it. And then Director Heck, you will have to stay on camera, assuming that we have a motion and it's approved, and you can fully participate as a member of the board.
Yes,
Right.
that's my plan. So I am asking the board approve that allow me to attend the meeting remotely using the just cause exception due to an unexpected family matter that required my attendance here in Indiana.
So moved.
Moved and second. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Yes. Division 1,
Yes.
Division 2,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 5.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Okay, that's it, Dustin, for us.
Thank
Yes,
you,
let's go ahead
everyone.
and take the roll now, and we could recognize Director Heck.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Division 1,
Here.
Division 2,
Here.
Division 3, Division 4,
Present.
Division 5. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, Ricky, I'll try to keep looking at the screen instead of to my right. Okay. All right, so at this time, we'll take a public comment on any item not on the agenda. If you'd like to speak to any item, 3 minutes, either virtually or in the room. Okay, seeing none, we will move on to special orders. It looks like we have the fun job of employee recognition this morning. Jennifer.
Yes, thank you so much. It is one of our more fun items that we get to discuss at the board, and that is our service awards. So we will, and Chip, which one are you jumping in on? Very last one, 35 years. Okay, perfect. So in recognition, there we have two very special employees, Desiree and Megan, have both just served 10 years. Desiree is an accountant too, and Desiree has been a joy to work with, and I've really appreciated seeing her grow over the past 4 years that I have been here. She has been able to promote through the series and promote into the position of accountant too, which is amazing. Accountants are very hard to come by, and Desiree is definitely one of the extremely important cogs of our wheel, and she has been instrumental in not only keeping accounting on track and doing such a wonderful job, but also with our large financial cleanup. And outside of work, Desiree enjoys traveling, spending time with her 2 teenagers, and she's also a music and concert enthusiast. And I do hear that she can do a very mean karaoke. So thank you, Desiree. Megan is a dispatcher too, and she started her career in 2012 and was a seasonal employee actually working with Monica out at the Long Ravine Campground. Megan is in our customer service department, and she helps take all of the phone calls from customers that come in, and that is often a thankless job. They are usually the first line of staff that deals with customers when they may not be at their best or are upset about something, and Megan does a wonderful job dealing with them and providing them excellent customer service. She's also extremely helpful whenever oftentimes I'll ask for odd information to be pulled out of the system, and she's always very quick to do that and does it with a smile. Megan and her husband just celebrated their 18th wedding anniversary. Congratulations. Oh, and they are now empty nesters. So new chapter in Megan's life. And on the weekends, Megan likes to kayak on Rollins Lake. And in the fall, she's a big football fan of the Vikings. Thank you, Megan. Next, we have 15 years, and this is Robert Granholm. He's a hydro maintenance technician too, and he has been with the district since 2010. Robert has also moved through the ranks. He started out as a utility worker, then he was promoted to a senior utility worker, and now he's over in the hydro department since 2015. Robert has always contributed to many of our projects and has played a very important role in the hydro department. We sincerely thank Robert for his hard work and look forward to another 15 years with him. All right, now we have two of our famous employees here, 20 years. We have Troy and Tanya. Troy is a senior within the purchasing department, and purchasing is one of those kind of unsung heroes of the district. They go through and they purchase all of the tools and supplies and parts that we need to make this district move on a daily basis. Troy has been with us since 2005, and then he was a senior storekeeper in 2011, and then a buyer in 2021. Outside of work, Troy is well known to all of us here as probably our fittest person on staff. He is an exercise enthusiast, and he's also trying to become the region's best pickleball player. So thank you, Troy. Tanya is a senior engineer down the engineering department, and she has been with the district since 2005. Many of you know Tanya from her presentations she's providing to the board. Tanya is just a joy to work with, and she is very, very capable and extremely thorough and an excellent engineer. We've greatly appreciated working with her, and it's been a pleasure getting to know her over the past few years. She, outside of work, she does have 2 children, and she is busy attending volleyball and tennis matches. So thank you very much, Tanya. Next, we're getting into 25 years. And we have, first up is Mr. Matthew Crow. Many of you know Matthew. He has been in the right-of-way and survey department down at engineering for a long time. He is also somewhat of our historian. Matthew makes sure that we keep all the most very important documents. I sometimes think it's hoarding, but he thinks it's historical preservation. So thank you, Matthew. He is also known for just being a genuinely very nice and kind person, and he's very hardworking. And if you do ask Matthew a question, he dives very deep to the bottom of the barrel to find all the information, the history of any single transaction. And as many of you know, our district has been here for well over 100 years now. And so we do have 100 years worth of documents, and Matthew is able to comb through to find out how did we obtain that property in the first place. So that has been very, very helpful. Matthew enjoys kayaking, soccer, and hiking. So thank you, Mr. Crow. Next up, we have Mr. Christopher Friedman. He's an equipment operator. He's also been here for 25 years. He has worked in the Grass Valley campus most recently, but he did start out in the plaster maintenance yard. He has been an equipment operator and is also promoted up through the department. Christopher has been great to work with, and he has been on the raw water crew for some time. And he is also known, people refer to him as the Google map of the district. It's always fun to have those employees that can find a location anywhere, and they're often more accurate than Google Maps. So thank you, Mr. Friedman. And he has many hobbies, which include golf. Oh, and he has won the district's annual golf tournament several times. So that is very cool. And then he enjoys spending time with his family. And it sounds like he has a granddaughter, Miss Harper. So thank you, Chris. And then next, Chip is going to do the 35 years.
Yeah, good morning, Board. Chip Close, Director of Water Operations. Today, I have the honor and privilege of recognizing Greg Cornejo for an incredible 35 years of dedicated service to NID. That's pretty amazing. Greg is currently an electrical systems technician too, and he continues to do excellent work for us. However, when you think about 35 years, you think, man, that is a long time to spend in one career. Well, honestly, Greg hasn't had one career here at NID. He's had 4. He apparently collects job titles the way most people collect baseball cards. He started out at an NID survey department and then decided he needed a change of scenery, probably fewer bug bites, so he moved into operations as a water distribution operator. After mastering that, Greg once again reinvented himself, becoming a hydraulic technician, being the go-to guy who set the system pressures throughout the distribution system. Basically, he was the guy who determined if your faucet was a gentle trickle or a pressure washer. Then, because Greg clearly has an aversion to standing still, he jumped into the electrical department where he continues to shine today, probably because he's surrounded by voltage. It's one of those dad jokes. You're welcome. With 35 years under his belt, Greg now holds the honor of being the most senior employee in tenure at the district. And it shows. You can tell because lately every conversation starts with, have you seen the stock market today? Or I wonder how my portfolio is doing. I'm pretty sure at this point, Greg knows more about PERS retirement than our HR department and CalPERS combined. But regardless, we'd like to thank Greg for his incredible commitment, adaptability, and sense of humor through the years. He's truly done it all and somehow made it look easy. And we thank him. I do think we'll have a speech for him soon that is a retirement speech because his wife is now officially retired. And I'm not sure how much longer Greg's going to want to see his wife sitting at home while he comes to work every day. So anyway, thank you, Greg. Appreciate your efforts.
Okay, thank you, Chip. Thank you, Jennifer. I would just like to thank all these employees for their longevity here. That's a testament to your commitment and doing a great job here. I was thinking as we were going through this that most of the time in the community, we hear positive things about interactions with employees. And so that's a great thing to keep us going as well as we do. So thank you for your service. Anybody else like to comment? Okay. Thank you all. We'll move on then to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any item they want to pull this morning?
I move to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Any public comment on the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing none, Madam Secretary, will you call the roll, please?
Yes. Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1,
Yes.
Division 2.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. On to general orders. Item number 5A, Water Professionals Week.
I can take this up, Board. Greg Jones, Assistant General Manager. Thanks. It's apropos that we should follow the appreciation of staff with this particular resolution. Not only is today National Take Your Parents to Lunch Day, we will recognize our Water Professionals Appreciation Week, which is October 4th through the 12th in 2017. The state of California officially recognized this week of October as the Water Professional Appreciation Week. It has been adopted and identified with certain organizations throughout the state of California, such as the the Association of California Water Agencies, AQUA, California Water Environmental Association, and many numerous others. It's a good opportunity for NID and the board to officially recognize and bring forth and raise, the voices and the folks that would have provided service, both treated water, raw water, our hydroelectric, our recreation, all the activities and services that we do, and exemplarated in some of the conversation that Jennifer and Chip had today about a number of our staff exceeding 10 years of service and up to 35. It's just exemplary. I think we've got a handful of incredible staff that work here and are dedicated to this organization, as you can see. And so this is a simple recognition. We are promoting a number of this week through our social media posts, and a couple of last year's posts are printed in today's board packet, but some of them are very similar moving forth through this week And we'll have some of that on our website as well. So we just want to appreciate and thank all of the staff here at NID for everything they do.
Good. Any comment from the board?
No.
Do we need action?
Yeah, I'd move to adopt the resolution.
I'll second it.
Moved in second. Is there any further discussion or a public comment on this item?
Just quick day, we follow, I think National Coffee Day.
Yeah, there's a number of national days on the calendar. I didn't list them all, but I did see that it was also National Pierogi Day today. Pierogies. And hot dogs wrapped in buns. Yeah, well, you know, something to think about.
Any other comments?
We're so honored.
All right, let's see, did I ask for public comment? Yes. Madam Secretary, call the roll, please.
Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1,
Yes.
Division 2.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much. Next item is NID Strategic Plan Review for 2026. Adopt a resolution for that too.
Yes, thank you so much. This is the item that we discussed in a workshop style last week, and it was in response to board feedback in the August meeting where the board reviewed and reaffirmed the district's strategic priorities. And so this item would be adding goal number 4 to strategic priority number 1, which is related to long-term infrastructure and water supply reliability. At the last meeting, the board requested a few very minor changes, which we made. And so this is now being presented for consideration of final approval.
Okay. Earl.
Yeah, the only comment I'd like to make is that on the objectives here, I'd like to remove the words "at Rollins Reservoir" and change it to "analyze feasibility by increasing storage by
Mhm.
increasing water supply." So we look at it from the holistic standpoint of the whole district, including Rich's micro ponds and everything else, but just look at everything. Where can we increase this storage?
I think you asked for that last time, Earl. I think that was a good suggestion, I thought.
Yeah, I concur.
Just saved you 5 minutes too.
Great. So based off that feedback, it is now proposed bullet 1 to read analyze feasibility of increasing storage by increasing water supply, removing sediment and or preventing further sedimentation.
Correct.
So we could do that with an amendment motion if somebody'd like to make that.
I'll make a motion to amend the first objective by removing the verbiage "at Rollins Reservoir."
Okay.
Second.
I'll second.
Moved and second. Is there any discussion or any public comment on this item? Amending the resolution to remove the words Rollins Reservoir. All right, seeing none, we'll vote first on the amendment. Call the roll, please, for Madam Secretary.
Okay. Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1,
Yes.
Division 2.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll take up the, if there's no further discussion, anybody else have discussion or public comment on the resolution as amended? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any public comment on the resolution? Okay, Madam Secretary, we call the roll, please.
Yes. Division 5,
Yes.
Division 4,
Yes.
Division 3,
Aye.
Division 1,
Yes.
Division 2.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And then we have NID Strategic Plan Review. Nope, we just did that. We have workshop items. 2026 Operations Budget Workshop. Okay.
All right. Thank you, board. This item I will be presenting and might call in some assistance from our friends if we need some. So this is the 2026 operational budget workshop. As the board is aware, at the previous meeting, we reviewed the capital improvement program workshop. The annual budgeting process every year includes a minimum of 2 workshops to have a preview of the budget, obtain any input before we go to final budget hearing. We are slated to come for final budget approval at the first meeting in November timeframe. And so with that, I will start the budget workshop. Now, if anybody, it is a workshop format, so if you have any questions, just jump in as we're moving along. And it is a lot of information. So in your packet, it does include the budget presentation and then all of the backup documentation, which can be a little overwhelming. But if you have any questions, just please let me know and I'll try to answer
How
them.
many pages?
Yeah, it's usually fairly long, so we will try to get through this, but I don't think anyone needs a break yet. We've only been going for 21 minutes.
A quick question.
Yes, sir.
Reserves will be diminished by about 9 million.
Let's get into the workshop.
Okay.
Okay. We're jumping ahead, many slides.
No, that's my question too, to talk about the reserves.
Yeah, there's a whole slide dedicated to reserves, so we'll review that. The budget principles largely remain the same this year. We did show very conservative projected increases in revenues. And as the board will recall, we do budget for revenues as well as expenditures each year. We did a conservative projection of a 1.5% increase on property taxes. And then we did a very small increase in power generation revenue, projected to be 3%. Operational expenditures have increased somewhat, but we did go in and try to keep the budgets as flat as possible. One thing to note is that we are in the rate setting process right now, and this budgeted revenues does not identify any rate increases in the budget.
That's good to know.
But this will help drive rates if we do.
Correct. So both the operational budget projections as well as the capital budget projections are incorporated into the rate model. And then for future out years in the rate model, specifically related to the operational budget, we do have standard escalation factors included in the rate model that are based off of these numbers. One of the operational expenditures that has been increased in the past couple of years from an accounting perspective, we have been handling the Res BCT costs a little bit differently. So I'll explain what that is. Res BCT is a program that is ran through PG&E where an agency or entity can utilize renewable energy sources that they own to offset the highest 50 meters that they have in their name. And so what the district does is we utilize energy generated at Scotts Flat Spillway to offset the energy usage with our top 50 meters within the district. From an accounting perspective, Scotts Flat Spillway is technically owned by the Hydro Fund, Fund 50. And so what we do every year is we show a transfer of funds from Water Fund to Hydro Fund to pay for that energy generation. This just helps fund the upper division, which is basically a benefit to the ratepayers. We also have included, this is our last year of our employee MOU, and there is a COLA that was included in the original contract. So that COLA is established or set by an agreed upon CPI that comes out of the San Francisco region. It's looking like it might be around 2.9 to 3%. We are in the midst of calculating it. We calculate it based off of the October or end of September numbers. And then there is being proposed one new position to increase our full-time equivalent positions from 198 to 199, which is still far below our staffing levels 4 years ago.
214.
Right. We've been trying to keep staffing as tight as possible. Labor is one of our largest costs outside of capital projects. All right, and as we all know, capital expenditures we talked about last time, so we won't dive deeply into it, but we had about 59 projects. That is an increase of 2 from previous years. And if you recall, when we discussed last time, we do rebudget capital projects each year. So if a capital project is spanning multiple years, whether that's due to construction or related to design, we do rebudget for the subsequent fiscal year. So those are always included in our numbers. So it's not necessarily 59 new projects.
So can we go back to revenues just quick?
Sure.
Property tax increase, 1.5%. That's the ad valorem.
Well, so ad valorem is an increase in taxes. So we receive increases in taxes related to new homes that are built or an increase in assessed value. For example, somebody remodels or something. So we do receive an increase of taxes related to that. And then we also receive an increase in tax just related to the annual allowed increase in assessment value each year that's administered by the county. Remember, with ad valorem, we're splitting the pie between all of the agencies that have a portion of it.
And the state. I
Yeah.
mean, the state takes the big
So
portion of
ours,
property tax.
1% of the
Right.
is split between us, the counties, other special districts,
I have to
school
check.
districts.
Yeah, I have to check my figures, but I thought Nevada County sends $16 billion in property taxes to the state, and we only
Well,
get,
they collect property taxes for
Yeah,
everybody. Yes.
and we get a small portion of that back,
An extremely small portion.
extremely small.
I have a question on capital expenditures. So the 1.7 million from fiscal year 25, what's that in percentage? How's that reflected?
I'm not quite.
I'm sorry, we show an increase of capital costs. What would you, is that able to be expressed as a percentage of increase from 25?
About 10%.
Oh, yeah, probably about 10%.
10,
Yeah, I'm guessing at the top of my
about
head.
10%.
And that's mostly related to additional costs that we're going to be incurring for Scotts Flat Spillway. So we're really going to start ramping up that work. And that's one of the reasons why we've been saving so much money.
My question, a clarification about your comments about the increases in the necessary additions of the salary increases and the FTE would be offset, or would the rate hike offset those when it went into effect? Or will the rate hike not go into effect this fiscal year?
No, it should go into effect this
Go into
fiscal year.
effect. So
Mhm.
we have an opportunity to offset the budget increases
Correct.
by the rate.
Yes, so from an operational perspective, yes, the rates would be established to annually pay for all operational costs, which do include increases
Okay,
based off of a specific escalation factor for each one of those categories.
thank you.
All right, so we're looking around $82 million dollars in revenue, 82.9, and then interfund transfers of about 38 million for total inflows of 121 million. So if everybody we'll just go through this. I know there's a couple of board members that are new to how we do all of the fund accounting. But essentially what the district does is we have three primary funds: Fund 10 Water, Fund 30 Recreation, and Fund 50 Hydropower. A few years ago, we added Fund 15, which is Water Capital. So it's a sub-fund of its parent fund, Fund 10. We added Fund 35, which is a capital fund for recreation, and it reports to its mothership as well. And then we added Fund 55, which is capital fund for hydro, which also reports to its mothership. We also, in the past couple of years, we opened up Fund 70, which is the cost allocated fund. And so we moved all overhead expenditures out of Fund 10, which is the water fund, into Fund 70. And we'll talk about this again. You don't have to remember all this right now, but we moved all of the overhead expenditures. So like the board, me, legal costs, this building, they're all now housed in Fund 70, which is now referred to as an administrative fund, but it's also cost allocated. Cost allocated just means that we do by formula each year, we distribute the responsibility for those costs or expenditures within Fund 70 amongst the three parent funds: Fund 10, Fund 30, Fund 50. An interfund transfer is not new revenue. It's moving money from one fund to another. The primary interfund transfers are from the parent funds moving money in to pay for their fair share portion of Fund 70 costs. And there's some other minor ones we'll talk about. Does anyone have anything, questions related to that?
Simple question, I hope.
Yes,
It's,
sir.
Fund 70 has a revenue of $750,000. How does an overhead generate money?
That's a great question. So the only way that, it doesn't typically generate money, but what that is a reflection of is grant funding. So when we receive grant fund, it is booked as revenue in the district's financials. And so that is related to some of our watershed projects that are grant funded. So we book that revenue in Fund 70 because that's where the project is administered out of.
And then it has to get transferred out of Fund 70 to be spent, right? I mean,
But we book revenue expenditures separately. So when we pay those bills, we pay them directly from Fund 70, and then grant expenditures are paid for on a reimbursement basis. So we pay for the expenditure, then we file the paperwork, we get the money back. All right. So this is probably the easiest slide to look at, and this is the fund balance summary. So this is how we talk about our finances on a more simple level. And so quickly running through the table, and we look at this table every year. So new board members, you'll get used to this very quickly. This is how we always present these items. So we have in the furthest left column, we have the fund. So as you can see, we have Fund 10, which we talked about is water. Fund 12 is capacity fees. These are fees that are collected from new connections. Fund 15 is water capital. It is a sub-fund of its parent fund, Fund 10. Funds 21 and 22 are assessment districts. So assessment districts are annual assessments that are placed on parcels to pay for whatever kind of special benefit that parcel receives for the reason why that assessment district was formed. All of those funds technically roll up into Fund 10 from an accounting perspective. Then we go into Fund 30 recreation, Fund 35 recreation capital, Fund 50 hydroelectric, Fund 55 hydroelectric capital, Fund 70 internal services, and then finally our newest fund, which is Fund 85, our pension trust. And this is based off of the action we took about a year and a half ago to start putting money away for the unaccrued liability that we have from CalPERS. And so this is basically kind of our savings account.
And so that fund, how close are we to OPED and?
So we have two different trusts. We have an OPEB trust, and then we opened up the new unfunded liability trust. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we've been making good progress. So to date, we've been paying on a pay-go basis for unfunded liability until we open that trust. We just moved another, what did we budget, 2 million, Corey? And I forgot to introduce the most important person in this entire process, Corey. Corey is our budget guru, and he keeps us on our toes, and he's by far the best budget person I've ever worked with. So thank you, Corey.
Well, Corey?
But remembering, we were in great shape prior to this. Now we're even in better shape
Yeah, we're looking
as far
good.
as our
Our
unfunded.
unfunded liability, yeah, we have been doing really well with OPEB and unfunded liability. So the board should be very proud of that.
So I have a question to that on that Fund 85. Is it anticipated that there's a point where where the cup is full and we no longer need to keep filling it and it just maintains its level? Or is this something that's a perpetual?
No, so the point of the trust is that at some point that you start paying your unfunded liability payments straight from the interest gained off of the trust. We're real close to there with OPEB.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not quite there with the pension trust, but we've made really good progress. We're sitting pretty well in comparison.
So do we think in 2 years, perhaps we hit that target?
No, probably more like 15, I guess.
15.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to go back. I think we are doing a new valuation this year. We do a new actuarial valuation of both of our trusts and our long-term OPEB and UAL obligations. And essentially what the actuary comes in and does is they go through the actuary for UAL is a CalPERS actuary, and then we have our own actuary for the OPEB trust. So OPEB is other post-employee benefits, and that's related to long-term retiree healthcare obligations, where unfunded liability is related to having to essentially do a catch up for pension payments due to some lower than projected revenues CalPERS received on their investments for pension obligations. We do the new valuations every year, and they're based off of census of your current staff at the time. And then take into account all types of things like expected death rates and all kinds of things. How when you're expected to retire, how many years in retirement, those types of things. And then they come up with a new valuation. That valuation changes all the time. So it's very difficult to say with certainty we will have this paid off in 24 months or something like that because it's constantly changing.
Yeah. I'll save you my question about how the state is investing their money.
Please do.
I have a question on 21 and 22, if I could, please.
Sure.
Yes.
Why is it that we appear to be losing money on those?
We're not. So those are two kind of last standing items that require some reconciliation. Before both Sandra and I were here, when property owners are part of a CFD, there is an option where they can go in and pay off their total assessment obligation. Then they can do that by just paying it off or when they sell the home. And that has happened over the years, but when it previously happened, they weren't accounting for it properly. So there's shared loans between, so for example, for Cement Hill Assessment District, part of the assessment pays off of a partial loan. And then the district is obligated to pay off the rest of the loan. Well, before they weren't accounting for it properly when those assessments got lump sum paid off and reducing the total liability that is assigned to the assessment district. But it will kind of eventually come out in the wash. So we have gone through some work to reconcile and fix this, but does require more involvement from the state. A lot of it's related to a state revolving fund loan. But it will eventually, it's more of an accounting issue than it is an actual issue. All right, as we know, recreation. Okay, so then we have the next column before we get too far, beginning fund balance. That's a projected beginning fund balance as of January 1st. And this should be actually 2026. This is one of Director Stevens pointed this out to me. I forgot to fix it. So what this projected fund balance is, this is cash balance. This isn't total fund balance. So we do go through an exercise and we make cash balance projections because we don't want to be spending kind of your non-cash fund balance, which is associated largely with asset value. These numbers, beginning fund balance, these numbers are constantly changing. If you realize the district, if we had a kind of a ticker that's showing how much money we had at any given time, those wheels would constantly be spinning. Money's going in, money's coming out on a constant basis. So we make projections and then we kind of shore up projections once we go through end of year, fiscal year end closeout, and then we'll bring a mid-year budget adjustment forward to even tighten things up more. So we're constantly projecting, refining, projecting, refining, projecting, refining. Yes, sir.
On Fund 10 water, it shows a minus 29%. Is that reflective of the thing we just talked about, the cost, the expenses going up and the revenue not going up? Is that why?
That is. So expenditures have been increasing significantly, associated with both labor and materials. So those costs are going up. And this is also a reflection of why we do need a rate increase. So the proposed rate model does take steps to mitigate these issues. We also have, and then remember there are transfers out. So there's a large transfer out of money that goes from water into the capital fund every year. And that transfer out is being increased because of capital projects also requiring additional funding. we're seeing construction projects getting raised by about 25% across the board.
Is that on top of the 40% we saw during COVID?
Yeah, nothing's ever gone back down.
Okay,
Some things have gone back down a little bit when labor kind of loosened up and they started rehiring, but materials by far have increased, and so has labor.
sorry to be so technical
Oh,
about
you're fine.
it's, I spent 7 years trying to understand transfers in and transfers out. So on the back to the water, it shows transfers out 22 million. And if that's going to the capital fund, it doesn't show in the transfers in the capital, in the water capital.
Oh.
Where does it go? Where does that money go?
Only part of it is going to the capital fund. The other larger portion is going to the internal services fund.
Oh, okay, so it's split out.
Yep.
Oh, you'd have to add these all up. Okay, I see.
Yeah, but remember, you can't just, you have to go to the transfer summary sheet because say, for example, in the transfers in category, the 21.5 million, that includes transfers in from all three of those funds, remember? So
Thank you. That's,
this helps you track the money, but then you also have to look at the transfer sheet. So then we have beginning fund balance, which is cash, anticipated revenue, and transfers in. So revenue plus transfers in equal total inflows. But remember, transfers in are not new revenue. So a lot of that can be a very common misconception.
Actually, that's perfect. So I'm going back to a couple of slides back, and I apologize. So on your revenues, on your first sheet where you have revenues and then the interfund transfers. So you're just about to touch on it, I think. So the blue or whatever color that is, the 82 million, that's gross revenues.
That's new cash
New-
coming in.
That's new incoming cash. And then the interfund transfers is not new cash. It's just moved from another place.
It's just moved money.
But so it's not actually a revenue,
No, it's,
but we
that's what
account
we,
for it
we
as a
re-
revenue.
well, it's total, we call it total inflows. In accounting, it's booked as a revenue, right?
Okay.
It's minus from one and added to another, but we refer to revenues and transfers in as inflow.
Okay. Do we have one of these charts that only has the gross revenues, without exclusive of the transfers, and then also an expenses exclusive of the transfers?
yes.
It's just a gross and a gross.
Yeah.
Is that what, are we getting to that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And all of that data is in the back too.
There's a lot of data in the back.
We have a lot of questions.
I like the charts. The charts are really easy to see,
That's right.
or the graphs rather.
Yeah, we try to simplify it as much as possible. So then once you get past total inflows, then we have expenditures, total transfers out, which equal total outflows. And then that brings us to our projected ending fund balance. And if you look along the very last line, we added a little bit of a cheat sheet where you can see we've identified each column as a letter, and then it shows you how you add those up to make the totals.
Good. Point of reference, I thought we started at 4 years ago at 105 million in reserves.
No, it was less than that.
I thought it was, okay,
Yeah.
90, 94, 95.
Yeah, it was
And-
like, I want to say maybe 96, 98.
Okay. I just want to say now to end next year at 142.
Yeah, well, that's projected fund balance. And remember, some of this is reserved as far as we can't touch it, but like we can't pull
Like
money out of
capacity
enterprise.
fees or,
But the ending fund balance is not the reserves, right? It's not
That's cash balance.
cash balance.
okay. The reserves are what, 115, 118 right now or one?
Oh, I'd have to look. I don't know off the top of my head.
But it-
We're about to move some additional money into investments.
Yeah, but with all the capital improvement projects we have coming forward, with all expenses that are, just to be in this good a financial situation, given COVID, given the increase in expenditures, shows incredible management.
We have been diligently saving as much money as possible,
Mhm.
knowing that we're heading into some heavy capital years.
Yeah.
I'd like to follow up on that for a second then. So capital expenditures are things like the Scott's Flat spillway, et cetera.
capital expenditures are things that add asset value. So they have to have a specific length of a life cycle. So they have to be things that, live for more than 5 to 10 years. And then they have to have a certain value amount. In the district's financials on the balance sheet, we go through during audit every year and we do capital asset management essentially. And so what we do is any new capital assets that value is added to the fund balance. And we depreciate any existing capital assets based off of whatever life cycle was assigned to them when the asset was essentially recorded. And so private companies do this because they can write off depreciation. About 10 years ago, public agencies, it might be a little bit longer now, public agencies started having to track assets in the same way. It's to ensure that there is sufficient investment going on in the district to protect your assets. If you were never adding asset value and you're just depreciating over time, you're going to see your overall fund balance.
Your
drop.
balance sheet's just gonna go
Yeah.
down.
And we don't get to we don't pay taxes, so we don't write it off.
Because when I'm looking at this is if we look at the revenue, the revenue was 83, let's say, and expenditures was about 76. Interfund transfers, they match out very well, but then the capital expenditures is why we're in a deficit.
Yeah, so we are, and that is pretty typical. You don't want to spend one time, when you're dipping into reserves for budgeting purposes or to pay for things, you don't want to use reserves to pay for ongoing operating costs. You want to use reserves to pay for ongoing capital expenditures, one-time costs.
Right.
And so we are, what this budget is showing is that we are using reserves to pay for capital needs.
Half of what we
Yeah,
need.
which is a normal thing to do.
That's appropriate.
Yes, it is appropriate.
Yes, very.
And it's what it's for.
Thank you.
Okay. This is the interfund transfer schedule, and this just details out what's provided in summary on the previous fund summary sheet. And most of it, as we talked about, is either related to capital transfers or internal services cost allocation. We won't review every single item. And there's also, because of the new pension trusts, we are making significant,
The bird
yeah, poor guy.
Got a
We-
headache.
Our brain.
Confirmation.
flew off.
He doesn't like it. We are making significant payments into our pension trust, which is a good thing for the district, although we may want to spend our money elsewhere. It's a good thing that we are being responsible and paying down these bills. Does anyone have any questions on this particular site? And Ricky, I know that I don't want to forget you out there.
I'm good, thank you. This is really well done.
All right. Then we will look onto the reserves. So one of the things, the district has a very old reserve policy that will be revised through the rate setting process, but there were a lot of reserves that we don't necessarily need. And so we are showing what reserves we are funding and what reserves we are not. So the capacity fee reserve, that is always sits at 2 million, and we don't make that many expenditures out of it. However, we have identified some projects coming up that we will be using capacity fees for.
And there is policy that dictates what we spend those.
Yes,
fees.
when monies are reserved, it's either restricted or unrestricted. An unrestricted reserve is money that the board can easily authorize spending of.
Discretion.
A restricted reserve typically means that there's some type of legal restrictions that are preventing the expenditure of those funds on anything else that is not captured in what it's legally mandated for.
When will we know what those projects are that will be using part of the capacity fees?
When they get budgeted, you'll see that those
This year,
funds
this
are.
coming year, next year, or?
Probably coming up soon.
I know where this is going.
I know exactly where this is going. And we made it about 20 minutes into the
Yeah,
presentation.
bingo,
Yes,
Yeah.
bingo.
Let the record show.
We had a record. Okay, then we have debt service reserve that's required by that. So for example, the debt service reserve that's shown under Fund 22, the board couldn't decide to use that money for something else. And then we have operating reserves for both Fund 10 as well as Fund 30 and Fund 50. So operating reserves are set about 6 million or 6 months of operating expenditures. And that's just to make sure we have enough cash flow to always pay our bills, which we do. We're looking good. And then there used to be a community investment stabilization reserve, which was never utilized. And so we started about 3 years ago, the board decided to stop funding that reserve.
Hey, can I just comment on the previous one?
Yes, sir.
Note that that was a new one we started. It's very important to the board, the operating reserve, right?
Yeah, operating
That's
reserves are,
started since you were here, right?
I think you had an operating, you have to have an operating.
We've
reserve.
had it.
Yeah,
Well, it wasn't funded to the total
I think that's
amount,
correct.
the total amount,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you always should make sure you have minimum 6 months cash on hand in case something happens. Capital improvement and replacement reserve, we have very hefty reserves as well, both in Fund 15, Fund 35, and Fund 55. And this is to save up for capital projects or something catastrophic happened, we would also tap into those funds. We still have the
Yeah, but-
35 million.
Ricky?
Thank you. I have a question on the capital improvement replacement reserves. So when you look back at the staff report and it shows an $8 million difference between, total revenue and total expenses, and the difference is what's coming in, putting into capital improvements. When you and I spoke, we said, you mentioned that the difference, that 8 million or 9 million, was going to come out of the capital improvement replacement reserves, which is the reason we have that, right? So I'm just wondering, will that show here somewhere that for that next year's budget, we're going to take it out of there? Right now you show
Oh.
that we've got 37 million, but I think there's going to be about 8 or 9 million that comes out of that for next year.
Yeah,
Is that-
the challenging part is that there's a lot of money that was always reserved in hydro. So we talk about reserves
Mhm.
as far as these are amounts that we would like to keep on hand. But you're correct in that, yes, the funds that are needed in excess of the revenue coming in are paying for capital projects. What this is showing you is that with the exception of, we're looking decent on reserves. The only one that is not looking great is hydro, or I'm sorry, Fund 30 recreation.
Right.
So
Mhm.
that one
Right.
is having some issues. It's showing a negative reserve balance, and hydro heavily subsidizes recreation.
Mhm. Thank you.
When we propose the rate model, we will also propose a revised reserve policy. Another reserve that is stated by policy that we don't fully fund because it wasn't reasonable to begin with was an accrued leave reserve. The current accrued leave reserve portion of the policy requires a reserve that's equal to the full payment. So what accrued leave is leaves we have to pay out when an employee leaves the district. And it's not reasonable on any year for every employee to leave the district and have to pay out all accrued leave. So it's not necessary to be that high. And then insurance and catastrophic occurrence reserve, that money was just sitting there, basically doing nothing. And so in the event that there was a catastrophic event, we would tap into any reserves.
Any other reserves?
Yes. All money is handled and invested as a whole. So remember, from fund accounting, we put all money in one big giant bucket, and then we use fund accounting to determine what fund owns each one of those layers of that bucket. So in talking, this details out the revenues a little bit more, and this is for Fund 10 for water. We're looking about 50 million in revenue, about 30 million in water sales. We are not anticipating as many new connection fees and installs. And then there's a variety of other fees that we collect related to call outs or PRV inspections, or there's a whole list of them in the rate schedule that are also incorporated in here as revenues. Interest earned is interest earned on that giant bucket of money that we invest that belongs to the water fund. And then lastly, the other largest piece of revenue is taxes and assessments. That's at 17.3 million.
We're still at just under 3% total return on interest.
Yeah,
I'm just going up.
it's going up. Yeah.
Yeah. New connects and installation, is that because of we had the district facilitated water line extension and we no longer have that, even though it's on our website?
It is.
Yep. As a project,
We better check that.
as a program.
I'll put it-
Whereabouts would that be?
I was gonna sign up.
Whereabouts would you find that?
Won't find it in about 10 minutes.
But anyway, I mean, so we don't have that program anymore, so that reflects individuals having to come to us and do it on their own.
Correct.
Okay. I mean, that's only about 3 to 5 new connects.
Well, and remember also the way that public agencies collect fees, and specifically how we collect fees, is if we, for example, with new connections and install, those fees are largely set based off of the materials and the labor needed to do a specific task that somebody is paying for. If we're not doing the task, we're not receiving the revenue, but we're also not expending the funds.
Sure. So it's a wash.
Question on the taxes and assessments. Is that just the property taxes and then district assessments like 21 and stuff like that? So we're bringing 17 just from that,
Mhm. Yeah, and that's from both counties. That's from both Nevada and Placer County.
which ironically is a little bit more than half, 50% of the water sales.
Correct.
Yes. Gonna need it.
And then we go and look at Fund 10, our total expenditures. A lot of this also with is not showing is the big interfund transfer over into, it's on a couple slides, which we'll talk about. So our largest costs by far is payroll costs, especially the operating budget. And there's more detail in the back, but this is divided into the primary divisions within water. And so it's water operations, distribution, water resources, treated water, electrical systems, and vegetation.
The outside services fees are the consultants, is that correct?
Yes.
So treated water, outside services and fees, 632,000.
Yeah, I'd have to look at all what's in it, but it's largely like lab fees, those types of things.
And
Water resources has that beat.
mhm.
And water resources is where we do all of the modeling, water rights reporting. Some of those things are a little bit more heavy consulting.
Birds want to come.
Just open the window.
It's not you.
Chips
Give
get
me the shine.
complex.
Yeah. So is that kind of equal per water treatment plant or I mean, George would cost a whole lot more to operate.
Oh, yeah.
than Lower.
It's also largely dependent on chemical usage. So a larger plant requires more chemicals,
Exactly.
more everything. Smartsville probably doesn't cost nearly as much as George.
Maybe in a Smartsville.
Can we have a raffle?
To raffle off Smartsville.
Raffle it off.
Could you remind me, please, on the treated water, we are recovering all of the costs to do that at a profit or at no profit at all, correct? It's just, there's something you explained to me a while back that I would like.
Yeah, so per Prop 218, we can't charge our ratepayers more than the reasonable cost to provide service to any specific rate class. So we don't ever achieve profit per se. But what we do is when we are doing rate modeling, we identify all of our expenditures, our reserve needs, our
Repair and replace.
repair and replace, increases in state fees. There's tons and tons of items that go into the cost to provide service. So it's not, we don't view it as a profit. It has to be reasonably associated with that cost. And it's by customer class.
I just see the expenses on treated water to be quite high, and I just making sure that we recover those and everything is good.
Yeah, so we definitely recover full costs. We have full cost recovery from treated water. What you'll see in the rate model is some increases needed to have full cost recovery for raw water.
And that'll be separate from raw water. Treated water will have different.
So,
rates.
yeah, the way that the
This is-
rates are currently set up is that, there's a raw water portion. And then treated water pays their layer on top for additional costs associated with treated water or water treatment.
And hydro pays for everything getting it here.
Hydro pays for the entire upper division.
Distribution, I mean, we obviously have to distribute new treated water.
Yeah, gross. I'm sorry, I was doing math.
We, distribution, does treated water basically encompass some of the distribution, or is there a sharing there? Because you have to get the water to the treatment plant.
Yeah, they pay a chunk of all the cost of moving the raw water.
I see the distribution, it's quite high, but there's a huge district too, so it's understandable.
Yeah, our primary challenge in terms of a financial constraint is how large our system is.
Or a better way of putting it, we don't have the density of users.
Yeah,
Correct.
that ratio is pretty skewed.
Yeah, so when you're talking about linear feet of infrastructure, you want a higher density of customers per linear foot, right? We have such a large district that we have a very low density of ratepayers per linear foot. All right. Yeah, treated water is definitely one of our higher costs. And then this shows the Fund 10 transfer summary. And most of it is the biggest transfer is into Fund 70 for internal services. Those are all the allocated expenditures. And then the second is the water CIP transfer. So we're moving 6.7 million into Fund 15. Now, every year when we start making these transfers, we also do reconciling, right? So if there are funds that are not expended in Fund 15, then we wouldn't necessarily be required to move all of that transfer money over. Okay. And then the other large payment, as you can see, is that 1.18 million for the pension fund. All right, Fund 12 capacity fees. These are fees that are paid for new connections. We have capacity fees set at 700,000 and earned interest at 300,000.
And that 300,000 is based on the 9 million or something.
Yeah,
not
the 12
1
million.
million,
12
yeah.
million. And then there's a small amount of the debt service that is paid by Fund 12. Fund 15, water capital. We won't go into this in depth since our previous workshop was all on capital, but we are looking about 6.7 million. Total expenditures, 5.733. And this is moving $1 million to meet capital reserve requirements. So Ricky, this also answers your question. This is another portion of that additional funds. We have the Fund 15 transfer summary. And that's a transfer in. And then we won't go through this in depth. These are all the Fund 15 capital projects that we reviewed last time. And you might expect to see maybe some small tweaks in the budget as we bring it forth for final approval. As we comb through it, we continuously comb through, we'll find something that's wrong. We have the two assessment districts, Fund 21 Cement Hill and Fund 22 Rodeo Flat. And these revenues are all received from assessments paid by the parcels within the assessment
So I have
district.
a question about the assessment districts. As these are satisfied, as the debt service or what, as the loans are paid off, do they get is there a sunset clause? Do they get retired and so 50 years in the future, we will not reference these assessment districts, or there might be new ones?
Correct. Typically, that's how it works.
Okay.
With these,
So these will expire once they're.
yeah. You can, sometimes cities, when they form a CFD, they will include a secondary bond issuance in the original formation documents. So they can do a second bond issuance when the original bond debt obligation is retired so that they could do large replacement. But to my knowledge, these assessment districts were not set up like this. So I would anticipate that these.
So there's not a provision for replacement. That's actually, I hadn't
Yeah.
thought of that.
I will double check, but I would highly doubt that
Okay.
they're set up like that.
Thank you.
So we would not be facilitating or administrating those funds after they're paid off.
No, essentially, we would dissolve the community's the district, and their assessments would stop.
Their system is stopped, their facility becomes ours.
It is ours now.
It is ours now.
They would just be rolled into regular districts.
Yeah.
They'd just be rolled into
Yeah,
regular.
right.
Yeah, remember, these assessment districts are paying back money loaned for construction of infrastructure.
Right.
They also pay rates for maintaining and operating the system.
Right.
Some agencies, and this is more of a new thing that is probably being done in the last 5 years, some agencies, when they originally form a CFD, if it is formed for the purpose of, you can form CFDs for multiple reasons. You can do it to be able to issue debt and have that debt repaid by the assessment district, or you can use it to pay for ongoing maintenance. And these were established for debt issuance.
Just for construction.
For construction.
Some entities will include a second bond issuance in the formation documents, but I don't believe that happened
For replacement and repair,
here.
maintenance and repair. Wow.
But I would guarantee we didn't do that.
I would suspect we didn't do that.
So these will retire, to your point.
Yeah, thank you.
These will retire. And then these are, and here on the bottom, it does discuss the maturity dates. So Cement Hill should be going away in July 1st.
All I had to do was turn the page.
There you go. And then Rodeo Flat should go away in 2033.
Are we having a celebration?
They
They
might.
will. Yeah, we will, because we
Well,
will.
it sounds like some of them are already satisfied, right?
Some of them, they go through and they pay off their assessment. One flat payment.
Individual customers in the assessment district.
Right, if you just paid up front,
The whole
you wouldn't
thing,
have to.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we are still struggling a little bit with Fund 30. Recreation revenue has taken a hit over the past couple of years due to the PG&E situation. And as we know, the recreation fees were never established to have full cost recovery, but the board did take action over the past couple of years to increase cost recovery through fee increases.
We're gonna have that discussion in the rate model. No, that's
So-
separate from the rates anyway, right?
That is.
That's just because of Rollins and Scotts Flat being lower, we got less traffic, is that,
Uh-huh.
okay?
So it's hard,
Soft, less boat, season passes, sales, all.
a lot of less of everything.
Yeah.
So we can't tell if the rate increases affected anything. Okay.
Is there any, is this maybe a discussion for later, but a cost recovery from PG due to their actions decreasing our revenue on recreation?
We're evaluating it. We had a lot of decreases and extra expenditures.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes. I'd heard a lot of the other stuff, but I hadn't heard it specifically for recreation too, so. okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm. Total expenditures are shown. Monica runs a very, very tight ship. And this also includes the payment we have to make to US Forest Service for operating those US Forest Service owned upper division campgrounds. The good news is haven't been opening them all that frequently, so our our payments to repay them for their costs are not that high. When they open this year, August?
They opened two campgrounds on weekend of July 4th, and then they opened the rest of them on August 1st, but, August 1st and closed them August 31st.
Huh.
So, yeah, they weren't,
Are we
they
asking,
struggled.
sorry, Monica,
We,
are they asking for fees from us as a blanket, or is it like for a certain time period? Do I
It
mean-
says a blanket, but it has to be associated with costs actually expended, but it's always kind of a year behind, so it'll get caught up. And this shows the transfer summary. Fund 30 has the same obligations that the other funds have for the internal services fund as well as the pension trust. And then the second line item, the $106,000, that is a interfund transfer associated with the Fund 70 capital improvement projects that are related to this building and or the ADA transition plan and the implementation of the financial system.
Okay.
And then we have a large transfer in to recreation from hydro.
Mhm.
and we're still required, part of our FERC relicensing, to have recreation.
Yeah, we are required from well, this has always been a point of contention, right? But we are required to have recreation in most locations on the upper division. And then Scott's Flats was more related to, what's it
Davis
called?
Grunsky.
Yeah, I always forget the guy's name. Davis.
Davis
or Davis?
Grunsky. Grunsky.
The Davis Grunsky Act. But we believe that those requirements have lapsed. However, we do make more money off the Scott's Flat.
And that was because they funded the recreation improvements, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Grant, yeah. I
was a-
remember when that happened.
Yeah, grant
I don't-
condition.
I'm that. I was there when it happened.
So Fund 50 hydro revenues, we kept them very conservative from a projection basis. We did have some revenue impacts associated with this year. Not a ton, but we were moving less water. But remember, our bulk of our hydro power revenue is generated from the large power purchase agreement that's not based on actually generating power, but is based off of availability of the powerhouse.
Are we still having to shut down at,
Combi
Right.
North is still shut
huh?
down. Combi North.
Well, right, I mean, but certain times of the day when California is paying Arizona to take electricity?
It just depends. Well, we still get paid if we're not generating energy.
Right.
Yeah.
So do we shut down during that time period, or how do we,
Idle it.
or do we idle it?
Yeah.
Okay. So we could have a crypto machine on it.
I hit two of them so far.
On the.
I mean, in Texas, they're maxing out their incomes, their revenues.
Yeah, and then you should also see coming, probably by the first meeting in November, we'll be bringing forth a new NCPA contract for Deer Creek, Combi South, and then we're finally trying to resolve the Combi North issues. We're applying for a grant if everybody recalls, Combi North went offline about 2 years ago, or a year and a half, probably a little over a year ago, because its agreement with PG&E expired. Combi North makes very, very little money. In any given year, it could be negative or it could make $7,000. So in order for it to get under a new contract, it requires an interconnection agreement and a new meter for it to be attached to the grid because it's no longer going directly to PG&E. We have found a program where Google will invest in infrastructure improvements if they are considered generating new renewable energy on the grid. And so we've been working with Google. So we're trying to also get, because remember, you can,
It's related to carbon credits?
yep, it's related to, and they have some 20, I want to say it was like 2040 zero net carbon goal.
Okay.
Because remember, we can put energy on the grid here and sell it anywhere in the state. It's not, I don't have to sell it to Earl because he's right next to me. So will be bringing new contracts for Deer Creek, Combi South, and hopefully Combi North, all in CPA, which then in turn sells the energy to City of Lodi.
Two
Lodi.
questions.
Refresh my memory, this plant is not governed by FERC? Or
Deer Creek, well,
No,
Deer
no,
Creek's the one
Combi
we're
North.
filing the exemption for.
Combi North?
Yeah, they're two small run of the river plants.
So we can do what we want with those. I mean,
Well,
to a certain extent, I mean, we could say without FERC involving FERC, we could say we want to take that one offline. And dismantle.
oh yeah, we've had Combi South offline
We could, I mean, we could
or Combi North offline.
say we're going to eliminate it totally.
Yeah, we could. I mean, and that could be a decision if we can't get any capital investment
right.
into it.
If it's a non,
It's hard to justify spending $400,000 on a plant that you only make
yeah,
$7,000 a year on.
yeah.
7,000.
Two questions. NCPA, Northern California Power Authority. Okay, good.
Association, I think.
Association.
And the second question is that on this prior slide, we have electrical power revenue of 27 mil.
Mhm.
How much of that is a blanket that we would get no matter what because of the agreements, and how much of it was how we are?
I think it's about 21 million. I'd have to go back and confirm, but that's the number that's in my head.
And how often is that? Oh, I'm sorry, you're still speaking.
So that's how much we would receive if all our power is offline.
Well, you still have to have the plant available.
Available, correct, but
Yeah.
you know,
And that contract expires, I think, at the end of 2032.
32, 30, yeah.
Thank you.
I think it's beginning of 33.
Yeah. Reader.
good memory.
So Pioneer isn't in the market to buy clean energy or a purveyor like that?
Pioneer does. We did talk to them related to if they wanted to purchase the power. We typically will shop around and then go with where we get the best rate.
And it shocked the people how low the rates are now.
Yeah.
And yet we're being charged 56 cents a kilowatt hour during peak production. Where's that money going?
That's a question I can
It's
answer.
outside the scope of this meeting.
It's a lot about PG.
Tree guys, a lot of tree guys.
Yeah, everywhere.
Have you?
It's ridiculous. Yes.
That's amazing.
This is the transfer summary. The transfers are the same vein as the other departments. And then we go hydro capital. We'll just go through this very quickly since we spent all the time on it before. And this is also anticipate some big expenditures coming up for Chicago Park. We are proposing to purchase that transformers because of the 4-year lead time. So we have to pay half up front, about $2 million.
Yeah, it's prudent.
We have backup options in case that transformer has. a problem.
Yeah, Ted has some workarounds with the bushings. And then these are the capital projects we reviewed last time. It's up to 6.68 million. And then we'll get to Fund 70. This is the internal services fund. So like I said before, these are all the overhead expenditures. So it houses engineering operations, surveyor, right away, shop operations. So that's our mechanics, the directors, all of management, watershed, and safety.
We're the cheapest ones on there.
Making a heck of a deal.
And then there's a couple of small CIPs included in here as well. And those are related primarily to the ADA transition plan and the Tyler improvement. I think that's it, because the stairs are gonna be all done for next year. Stairs will be done very soon too. If you'd like to go walk on them, we will let you know when they're open.
That was one of my
They're pouring
questions I was gonna
today.
Ask. Okay, good.
Yeah, they're pouring concrete today if you want to peek in the fence. But don't step on the, I better not see anybody's name.
I thought we got to
You're right.
put our, we got to put our initials in our handprints, right?
Here,
No,
board approved.
no. Also communications, human resources, IT, purchasing, accounting. And then this, the table at the bottom is probably the most interesting part of this. This does show you what the cost allocation was for this year. We do a new cost allocation calculation every year, and that's based off of revenue, expenditures, number of staff, a number of items. And that helps us determine the fair share apportionment of the cost to each parent fund. And we're significantly decreasing expenditures, and that's primarily related to English Meadows being completed. And then we have applied for a couple of new grants for watershed to do some wildfire suppression work, but we will book those revenues and associated expenditures if we are issued the grant or awarded the grant. All right, and this slide shows the transfer summary, very similar to the other departments, with the exception that most of this money is transfer in as opposed to a transfer out. And internal services funds, technically, they want to reconcile to zero every year.
Zero, right.
We talked about these. Here are the proposed capital projects. Many of those are offset. If a project is offset with grant revenues, we don't include that in the internal services transfer over from the other funds.
Say it again, please.
So say, for example, English Meadows restoration project, or that might not be a good one. If there's a project on there that is completely grant funded, we don't usually, unless we need it just for cash flow to pay a bill, we don't do the full transfer from the parent funds over to the internal services fund, because we book the grant revenue directly to Fund 70.
Gotcha, okay.
We may move money over for cash flow purposes if we haven't received the revenue and we have to make a payment.
Gotcha.
But that's it. And then this is the new pension fund. So this is really good. So we've been doing about $2 million a year payment into the pension trust.
And how are we deciding how much to put in that? What is there a formula or some?
Yeah, remember when we did the presentation, when we established a trust, we put a benchmark out. We put a benchmark of trying to do about a $2 million payment every year.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Benchmark.
So we're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And then for staffing changes this year, we are only proposing to add one additional FTE, and I do believe that this is very well justified and very needed, and that is to add a new dam safety engineer. We are getting overran with dam safety work because of all the Part 12D inspections. And so it is just going to be an ongoing thing that will be going on for the rest of time now until somebody changes the laws.
These are state or federal?
Federal.
requirements? Federal.
There are FERC requirements.
And
So
we-
there's just a lot of scrutiny on the dams right now, and we have to constantly be managing the dam safety program, doing these extremely thorough inspections on a 5-year basis. So we cycle the dams through, and it's too much work for one person to handle.
we've been farming this out to consultants.
We do have some consultant resources, and we have been relying a lot on Peter. Peter was a former dam safety engineer. So instead of managing the department, he's been doing a lot of dam safety work. which he's very capable and can do, but we also need him to be able to move to a higher level.
He can train. but
We
they
have a
can-
great dam safety engineer on board, Roy. It's just too much work for one person. So
Gotcha.
Roy and Peter will train a new staff member.
And then they get certified.
Well, FERC has to approve your official dam safety engineer, and both Peter and Roy have been approved before as dam safety engineers.
And they'll approve a trainee.
They don't, I don't believe they have to approve the trainee. They have to work under the approved.
Oh, I see.
engineer.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And this is consistent with what we had before. We used to have two. So we're just and for a while we tried to see if we couldn't rely more on consultant resources, but that only really worked till the Part 12D inspection program came into place. And then with that, we will, Corey and I will continue working on kind of refining, cleaning everything up with the budget. And then we always kind of do a review with staff at some point. So all staff has the opportunity to learn the budget. And then we'll come to budget hearing on November 12th.
Boy, great job.
Yeah, Corey is wonderful. I really can't say enough about how great of our budget guru Corey is for us.
Budget guru.
He is. He's the calmest. Usually budget people completely freak out at budget time.
Oh,
Not Corey. Corey is calm as a cucumber. Yeah, he keeps us all calm.
it's infectious. That's good.
Yeah,
Panic is infectious too.
it is. That's why we have Corey.
Huh. Nice.
Okay, any further questions? Ricky, we didn't hear too much from you. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm really good. I understood this. I went through it, pretty thoroughly myself. So I'm really comfortable with the information. And again, as Chris, as you know, this is such an extraordinary improvement over what has ever been done before. And so I'm delighted with Jennifer and with Corey and our whole team to have been able to put this together in such a clear, concise way that we can all understand it. So thank you.
All right. We had no public input. Anybody want to chime in at this point?
I do have one.
Go ahead.
I appreciate the pictures the most. And, and just going back to my question I asked earlier. So and it's not reflected exactly in the pictures, but between our revenue and our expenses, just gross numbers excluding of capital expenditures and transfers. Am I correct in really rough math that we net about $6 million
Operation.
on operating expenses versus our revenues?
Yeah, remember we have to make about a $6.2 million transfer over to capital.
No, I'm just talking about exclusive of the any of the transfers. Just between our operating expenditures and our gross revenue. And like I said, these are pretty rough numbers, but it looks like we net about $6 million before we touch any of the revenue before we touch any.
Do any of the transfers. Yeah. That's and that is really reflective of what's always kind of been wrong with our water rates is revenue recovery for capital projects. So once we laid all of this out, you could really see where our rates were falling short.
Operationally, we've said this all along.
Yeah, operationally, we're
Fine.
good. It's
Doing good profit
capital.
loss, but the capital is.
We don't put that $6 million into the reserve per year and then use them as needed for capital improvements, which is the intent of them.
we do, but that 6 million isn't paying for an annual reserve capital contribution.
The annual capital is about 15 is projected here, right?
Well, that's total between hydro and
Oh.
water. So when the capital funds, before the capital funds were their capital projects were just paid for right out of Fund
Paid
10.
for out of the.
Now we move an amount annually into capital that's equal to the annual amount of capital for that fund.
And I would comment, the happiest I am is about the reserve, the trust fund for the funded liabilities. I'll get it spit out here. Yeah, I think that's most prudent to do that if we, even at the expense of other reserve accounts.
And that's
That's-
very
It's
responsible. We should-
very responsible, and that's just, please do that one.
Yeah, we're looking good. Our rates the increases in the rates will reflect needing to pay for capital. Because also remember, we have some huge projects coming up. So
Huge.
you'll see those reserves dip very quickly from those projects if we're not able to get other funding sources. But other funding sources are going away very quickly right now.
So a number of years ago, we did a cost of service study that we have better numbers today, correct?
Correct. We did a new cost of service study.
Okay, and we'll rely on that.
Correct.
And we'll see that in a workshop coming up,
We will see that in a workshop. We are
mean-
doing the final tweaking. We're really trying to
coming to a board meeting near you.
coming to a board meeting near you. Yes.
November 12th.
We're looking, but we're having to lay everything out with the rates. We should have a fairly good idea. It's just been a constant shuffling to try to smooth rates and make the impact as least as possible.
Yeah.
We're very sensitive to large rate increases, but we will be looking at a rate increase. There's no way around it.
Just a comment on the unfunded mandate. One of my very first questions of Jennifer, one of my first board meetings here was, how are we making sure that our staff is protected because of the, as you refer to it, the poor investments of the state, PERS. And so I like the fact that we're setting that up because that was a big concern of mine.
Yeah, it is a big concern, and a lot of people kind of stick their head in the sand over unfunded liability. So it's a good
Just-
thing.
Just read the news about
Well, I was
that.
gonna say, didn't the city of Vallejo a dozen years ago declared bankruptcy because 10 firefighters retired the same day?
Right.
It was something to that effect, right? It's
All right.
a real thing. They realized, uh-oh.
We haven't been saving money.
Yeah,
We haven't been planning for the future. Okay, since this is a workshop, there's no action taken today. Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Thank you, staff. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you, very thorough.
Any further public comment?
I already asked for it. On top of it. One thing I've learned here, it's hard to remember to do that, right, Dustin?
Yeah. Vice President Beerwagen.
And watch
I can confirm,
Watch
yes.
Ricky to see if she raises her hand. Okay, we'll move on to a general manager's report then.
I don't have much to report with the exception that I know Director Johansson asked me. We are planning on bringing an item to lift the emergency declaration related to the PG&E issue, kind of probably in November. Yep, November.
Good, good. And there's rain in the forecast, so
It keeps bouncing around, but it looks like there's a lot of rain next Monday, Tuesday.
yeah,
Wednesday.
so we're gonna be good on shoulder water.
Yeah.
We're gonna get our shoulder water naturally.
So when the moratorium is lifted, then next day, people can start signing up for 2026
Once it's lifted.
or
Mhm.
that afternoon.
Do you have somebody in mind?
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, you do, okay.
They're lined up.
We'll be looking good. Yeah, it'll be shortly thereafter.
Okay.
Maybe
Are-
we'll put it off if it rains.
Do you want like a pager notification or something?
Pager?
Do they do that still? I'm sure they do.
We'll fax you something.
Not a bad idea, Brad. They need it.
All right.
So in the past, we've also talked about water theft,
We also-
and we're waiting for the state to solidify their penalties.
Director Johansson would like to bring forth an item that increases fines related to water theft from hydrants as well as from canals. So
Okay.
we just haven't put that quite on our priority list yet, but we'll take a look at it.
I'd love to be part of that discussion.
Yeah, we'll bring it. How
We
about
are the nicest agency as far as theft. And it's
But
interesting.
Chip has explained that to us a million times, or not a million, but several. The cost benefit of that one.
yeah, I mean
Now
we're
discussing it, so we better not.
we're not going to have a police force over water theft, but
Well,
I would say by far the biggest water theft issues are in the canals, and
Sure,
specifically
sure.
people lifting boards.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to get addresses on 4 of them.
Board lifters.
No,
Rich wants a badge.
pumps.
Rich is always, I'm about just to give in and give him a badge.
Just give him a badge.
Give him a badge and a gun.
You
No,
don't
no
need
gun.
to.
Just a water gun,
How about a truck?
squirt gun.
Well, it's discerning when you have dinner with somebody, he said, yeah, I know where 4 pumps are in this one
It's annoying, yeah.
thing. I said, well, give me addresses. Well, they won't go that far.
You need to be a better investigator.
I think so. Give me a drone.
Gonna give him a water gun and a drone and a badge.
How about a horse?
Yeah, I think a horse.
Trigger,
Big white hat.
champion.
Big white hat.
All
Yeah.
right. Is that all from you?
That's all.
Okay. Director Stevens?
Just a couple comments. One is that we had a interesting adventure on Friday. We got 1.7 inches of water a place in a half hour. And neighbors around us, a mile away, got less than an inch.
Yep.
It was a microcell that came down and hit hard. It was pretty amazing. I had propped up all my mandarins like the day or two before, and if not, I'd have had broken branches everywhere that with all that additional weight. So that was an interesting thing. The second thing is that since we're coming into budgets and stuff like that, I'm just curious, who is responsible and in charge of applying for grants, and how do we make sure that we are on top of it all to keep another source of revenue into our district?
We're constantly grant hunting, so it just depends on what the area is. So a lot of them are written by Greg and his team. They do a wonderful job. Greg just submitted another Google grant. So we get grant notices from a variety of different areas. And it's interesting, 'cause a lot of the grant opportunities have been with Google lately. So we'll start applying just depending whether it's CAL FIRE or Sierra Native Conservancy or Google or DOE or whoever it is, we apply.
Yeah, because I'm always looking for new sources of revenue.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes, you know,
Whatever they need.
Rich will send them or the county sends them. We get them from all kinds of places.
Thank you.
Oh,
Jennifer?
Ricky.
Ricky, go ahead.
Hi. To add on to that, a couple of years ago, I advocated pretty strongly to get some budget money in there in the event we needed to hire a consultant to do some grant writing for us. And we had, I think at one year, 50,000. And are we still budgeting for that, or are we not finding we need that because our in-house staff is doing a good job?
We found it's more efficient for our in-house staff to do it because they have the information just flows out of their fingertips rather than relaying the information for somebody else to write down.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. But to your point, Earl, that this board has recognized how important it is to just constantly be looking for grants, and we have done, I think, a great job of that.
Well, I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just asking to.
Like how
No,
we
I
do it.
didn't
Yeah.
think. No, I didn't think you were criticizing, but I'm really sort of sharing my experience actually that
Okay.
over
Thank
the
you.
last number of years, it's been good.
I hear a lot of talk about grants and I just don't know the system and how it's done. And also I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's not a consolidated system. You hear about grants from, we belong to a lot of professional organizations, different associations. We hear about it from consultants, from the agencies themselves. We keep our eyes out for them. We watch legislation that's going through that we know that's going to result into grants.
Okay. Does NASA write her own grants?
Yeah. NASA writes grants, Greg writes grants, Gabe's team writes grants. Anybody who can find money, we're not shy about asking for money.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So on the subject of grants, I thought the sustainability summit went well. Afterward, there was mention that, hey, Google would even like to study or put some money into a micro pond project. Not a drinking game,
Every time you
But it
mention
could be.
microphone.
but anyway, I mean, but
Gosh.
it came up in the conversation, and it got some people's attention. So, but anyway, it was just it was a good day. All right. And then I had a great talk with Amy Arani earlier this week. She is Environmental Health County. She's in charge of the groundwater, looking into that for the county. And she was meeting with the state of California to see if they had any grant money available to put water tanks for people who have lost their wells or have underperforming wells, put water tanks in with a connection to their house. And so she's looking into that. And I said, well, Amy, why don't you look and see if they have water for water line extensions or money for water line extensions?
I knew this was coming.
Huh?
I knew this was coming.
So, I mean, but anyway, I was thinking more neighborhoods, communities rather than large backbone extensions. But it's a way that if the state does have the money, she'll find out. So I thought that was encouraging. October 22nd from 4 to 6 at the Love Building in Grass Valley, the Resilience Project of Nevada County will be kicking off. You're all invited. And I said, well, everybody will come if you have food. But that's the one Steve and I are on at the county, and it looks like this could help us quite a bit. But it's the Resilience Project. I just want to give a shout out to Dolly Parton because she has something called the Imagination. See, we're making a connection here. That's what we're here for. She has something called the Imagination Library. So if you're 5 years and younger, she'll send you a book a month. And she has sent out over 300 million books and gotten people to read. I mean, and excited about life.
Is there a water connection in there?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
Come to the micro pond.
We love educated customers.
That's right.
But anyway, it just, no, I found that just, yeah, incredible. Yeah. There's more, but
There's more.
Okay.
We have lots of time. It's only 1:45.
I think Mr. Fowler has something to say.
I have a couple. I did not have Dolly Parton in my note. So to Earl's note, and we're not actually in a competition, but the clouds might have stacked up a little bit against the foothills. So I had that written down. And our 24-hour total was 2.32.
whoa.
We had 2.7.
So I looked on the little radar map, and we were a little yellow dot was right on top of the ranch. And that pushed our irrigation water. So thank you, Chip, for sending the rain because it made the irrigation water go about 25% further. It was spectacular. I assume that you're responsible for that somehow.
Yep.
So that was a great little shot of rain that just gave us a bump and started some fall germination. So if we get a follow-up, we're going to be ripping on grass this year. Trades days at the fair today, a bunch of school kids, local school kids, high school kids, and I believe NID is out there. I know I have a couple kids doing district ranch intern stuff and maybe some FFA stuff. So I appreciate that NID is out there and
Saw the snowcat going out this morning.
awesome. Yeah, there'll be kids crawling over that in a backhoe, I'm sure. So I just love that this agency takes part in all these things that go on in the community. School ranch. So I have two things on the school ranch. So I was out there recently. Their micro pond storage has been significantly improved. And I don't know if you've been out there since. They've done a bunch of work, but they cleaned out and deepened some ponds to Rich's thing. They have two ponds out there that they capture irrigation water in. And they did some massive improvements to them so that they can store a little bit of water. And they're also doing some infrastructure to pump some water to the top of the hill and utilize it for some other stuff. The school ranch is looking for additional water, and Rich and I are meeting out there with maybe the ag commissioner and some Sierra Harvest folks and the school district. I'm not sure. Are you going out there too, Chip? Okay. Who are you pointing to?
Chip.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can join us. Anyways, so yeah, we're very excited about that. And also on that, so the RCD, the Resource Conservation District, and the Farm Bureau had a combined dinner last Saturday. And the Resource Conservation District always issues a Conservationist of the Year. And they gave that award to the school ranch because of the community association that's going on with all these agencies and all these people that are all, and businesses and everybody that's helping out to, if anybody wants a tour, we can get that arranged. It's spectacular what they're doing for an educational opportunity on water use and agriculture and lumber. They're milling trees that are getting cut down for right of ways and stuff like that, and they're turning it into lumber for school projects.
And baby pigs.
And they have baby pigs and they have cows, and they're putting in a little bit of row crops with Sierra Harvest. Just so much stuff going on there for educational opportunities. I'm excited that NID is a part of that. And the more we can be a part of that, I'm very supportive. So that was a great dinner. I just love the progress going on at that school ranch. And then we have the Placer Farm Bureau dinner coming up in a couple, 3 weeks, I think. And
25th.
anyways,
We-
very much looking forward to attending with whoever's at that. And that's always a fun evening also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Director Heck?
Well, yeah, I have nothing as exciting as what Brad just reported on, but as in my role as the NID Special District representative to LAFCO, Local Area Formation Commission, we are in the process of choosing and hiring a new executive officer. And you may or may not know, but SR, who's been stellar, has been there for, gosh, I think over 30 years, and she's retiring. So we've launched this effort to recruit and find some new candidates. And it's very exciting. We have some really terrific candidates, and we will be interviewing them. Rich is a full board on the 16th of October. So I've been really involved in that. And then there is a state conference ending, and I have been also appointed as the state representative for special districts for Northern California. So it's a planning body, and there's a lot of water tie-ins, as you might expect. And it's a good thing. It's just not as exciting as the farm program.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
it
you,
for me.
Ricky. Okay. And my only report is I also attended the Farm Bureau meeting and had a lot of there was no discussion about water, but interaction with people there concerning NID, and that's always good when it's positive. So that's it. All right. Unless anybody has anything else, we will be adjourned until the next regular meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.